What up guys, this video has been a long time coming and I know a lot of you guys have been asking us about it. Between the shop and Facebook and emails and stuff, we constantly get asked about claying. One, how to clay, and two, when you finally know how to, what method best suits you. Clay bar, clay cloth or clay pallet, which we do stock in the shop. So I want to go through today in detail each method of claying. Today we're working on this 99 3 series, and we do know that the car was protected about 6 or 7 months ago. It was kept in for the start of winter, but unfortunately it came out towards the end of winter. So we do know it was outside a lot in the last couple of months. So there is contaminants in the top there. I've already checked. There is some residue and there is a few embedded contaminants. It has been washed. It has had a deep maintenance wash. The next step now is to start claying it. But we're going to go through in detail, guys, each method. Detail the 3 different options you have when it comes to claying. And first of all, doesn't matter what option you go with, you're going to need clay lube, right? We're using this is our own dilution of clay lube that we use in-house for every single car. And after that then, you basically have to pick which option clay bar suits you. If you're the sort of person that's only going to do 1 car a year, or basically a car twice a year, which you should be doing, you're better off going with the clay bar. With a bar about this size, you should get anywhere between 3 and 4 cars out of it if used right, and depending on the amount of contaminants in the top layer. Unfortunately guys, once you use a square of this, you gotta throw it away after it. This is non-reusable. I want to make that clear. Clay bar is non-reusable, right? Your second option is the clay cloth. This is only new to the market with the last 12 to 14 months. The clay cloths are absolutely storming through the market, right? It's because they're reusable. They say you get between 50 and 60 cars out of this. I'd take that figure with a pinch of salt because it really does depend on how bad each car is. No 2 cars are the same, but that's just a rough guide figure of how many cars get out of it. And they are at a higher price point than the traditional clay bar. This is more for the person who is doing it a bit of part-time detailing or a bit of part-time polishing, or does all his friends and family's cars, right? So he wants to get more, he'll be doing more than 2-3 cars a year. He's better off going with the clay cloth. Then the last option, which is very new to the market. We only just finished testing these, I think the last like 3-4 months. They've only been in our shop about that length of time for resale, which is the clay pallet. This works with a DA system, guys, a DA polisher. And as I said, very new to the market. We are absolutely delighted with it. It has cut down our claying time massively. But once again, comes in at a higher price point again. So you'd really want to make sure you're getting the use out of it. And I'd recommend this more for trade work, so people in the industry, dealerships, all the rest. That's we normally sell these to the clay pallet. But look guys, it's time to have the information, so I'm still going to show you guys today how to use each option. And from this video I want you to pick which option best suits you, whether you're only doing so many cars a year or whether you've got more time in your hands. As I said, it goes from slowest to quickest, so this would be the slowest option. It's very time consuming, but it is a fantastic option if you're only going to do it in your own car. This does speed up the process a small bit quicker, but once again, with it being the higher price point, you need to make sure you're getting the use out of it. And this unfortunately requires a polisher to be used. So once again, you got to make sure you got to have the right equipment for doing the job, and 2, you got to make sure you're getting the use out of the clay pallet. So guys, I'm going to start with the clay bar. Right, so guys, here's a quick close-up of the paintwork before we start. This is the driver's side of the bonnet we're working on. You can see there's a lot of like contaminants still embedded, right, which we should get out with a lot of clay. But even better again, you can hear it. Now guys, don't get me wrong, I don't recommend completely rubbing every panel in your car, but it is a good way to test. I don't know, can you hear that? I don't know, is it coming through with the speaker? I will admit, not the worst car we've ever done, but still, there is still a lot of contaminants. Guys, you gotta remember, this is something that doesn't get much mileage a year, but unfortunately it does spend a lot of its life outside. So it's crazy, everyone thinks that, oh, I don't do much mileage, my car can't be bad for contaminants, or, oh, I have a new car, it can't be bad for contaminants. Nearly do every new car that comes into us for a new car protection detail. We clear every one of them, and it actually shocks us sometimes the amount of contaminants that come out of these so-called brand new cars. Yes, the mileage is low, but you gotta remember guys, how long has that car been sitting in the lot? How long has that car been sitting in a dock somewhere waiting to be shipped to wherever the destination is? So as you can see, there is contaminants top layer, and I'm going to start with the clay bar, the most traditional method. You split that big bar into about 8 squares about this size, and you knead it out, it's called. You basically flatten it out. because all I need is it to be a thin layer. Just keep flattening. I would say flatten it out to about the size of a €2 coin, but for anyone that's not in Europe doesn't know the size of a €2 coin, then that might be very relevant. So look, flatten it out to about there. Go as much as you can. Guys, you can dip it in hot water, it makes it easier to flatten out the clay. Okay, so you take your clay lube, well squirt up the panel that you're planning on working on. Make sure there's plenty of lube on the surface, because guys, if there's not enough clay lube, there is a chance of you marring the paintwork. So just keep squirting. The reason we haven't gone into detail when it comes to clay lube is because basically everyone has their own theory on what works in terms of clay lube. Some people recommend soapy water, some people recommend a quick detailer. We use this is our own brand clay lube, and we find it works the best. We've done twice tests before between water and shampoo and between quick detailers and stuff, and we find this the best. I want everyone, guys, I want you to use whatever you feel most comfortable with. This video is just about clay bars and clay cloths and clay pads, just showing you the difference between them. So getting back to this, you got to make sure you're always doing straight lines. Now it doesn't matter whether it's straight lines up and down the bonnet or across the bonnet, but always straight lines. We don't want to see any circles, because guys, at the end of the day, you are getting contaminants. It is building up in the bar, and the last thing you want to do is take this contaminants and start swirling around the place. I know, can you see that? There is contaminants in that paintwork, and all you do is you take the bar, fold it over, and knead it out again, flatten it out once more. If by any chance, guys, the bar drops on the ground, I'm afraid, doesn't matter how big or small the square is, you gotta throw it away. Once grit gets inside this thing, there's no way getting it back out. So that's why you keep folding into the center, you keep turning the dirty side in, keep bringing out a fresh side. So quick squirt again, and we're gonna finish off this panel. You might be able to pick it up in the residue, but I can actually see in the residue from the clay lube that it is going dirty, it is going brown, so you can see that's all the contaminants coming out in the clay lube. This is a very important step, guys, if you are going polishing or if you are going waxing the car. Very important step to make sure to remove any contaminants before doing anything else to the paintwork, either polishing or waxing. Right, I can hear and I can feel that there's no more contaminants left in that square. You'll hear that when you're moving over it, and you'll also feel there's no more resistance. How you know there's contaminants, guys? When you're claying, you feel there's resistance. You feel like it's almost trying to stop you. Make sure it doesn't, and if it does, you find the bar stopping too much, basically lube up the surface more, right? So I can feel it's quite soft there now, it's quite smooth. So what I then do is, guys, take a plush microfiber, make sure it's a plush one, and basically buff off the surface. Right, so next up we are on the clay cloth. Okay, we've moved down the panel in another section, and the last section we're going to keep for the clay pad. So this is your clay cloth. As you can see, this is decent enough all sides, to be fair. What we recommend doing, guys, is folding over and splitting it into quarters. Right, we find it's the best way to get the most use out of it. Right, so you're taking about a size about that much clay cloth, and it's a good decent size to work with. Right, so same again. All you do is squirt up the panel. First thing I'm going to say, guys, before I go any further is I would not recommend this for someone that's a novice to claying. Right, I would recommend it to someone that's got a slight bit of experience, has clayed before, and I'll tell you why in a second when we go through this. Right, so as you can see, the surface area is a lot bigger, so I'm covering a lot more area. That's where you end up speeding up the process. Right, so I have a lot more of the area I can do in one go. But unfortunately, being a bigger surface area, it means you need more clay lube. And guys, you gotta keep this thing moving. You cannot let this thing stop. And say for argument's sake you do, like I have just done there, If it does end up stopping or gripping up, what you need to do is you need to remove it off the surface, preferably spray the cloth with some clay lube and start again. Don't ever stop and go, right, because that's how you're going to cause marring. So minimize marring, guys. If you ever stop, make sure you start again from scratch. Make sure you start again, resquirt the panel, and off you go. It's very hard to work this small size of a square. I'd be better off doing a bigger square, but just for the video I just want to make sure it's the same even test across all three methods. Guys, this kind of goes against the start. I know you're thinking, geez, he's going around in circles, he's doing figure eights. That's to make sure the cloth never stops. With clay bar, you won't have an issue, but with this, it can't stop. So what you do is you kind of work your way through the panel and work your way back. I can feel there now, and I can hear there is less and less contaminants every time I make a pass. And all you do, guys, is you take the cloth when you're done with that square, flip it over, squirt up a fresh square in the panel, and start again. Eventually, when you have all four sides used up, you basically straighten it out, and what you do is you rinse it out. Basically with warm water and soap, you rinse out the cloth, and when you're done the full car, once again rinse it out, thoroughly rinse it out, and preferably put it back in the bag supplied by the manufacturer, and that'll keep for the next car. As I said, guys, it is recommended to do 50 to 60 cars, but once again, bear in mind it depends what type of car you're doing. This car has contaminants, but it's not bad for contaminants, right? Because it was clayed within the last 7 to 8 months. So you'd get a lot of this spec car out of a cloth. If it was something that hadn't been clayed in years, as in 5-6 years, then you're basically going to take in more contaminants. That's going to basically shorten the lifespan of the cloth. Okay, guys, next I'm going to buff off. Once again, buffing off with an Ultra Plush microfiber to make sure not to cause any scuffs or marks after cleaning the surface. Right, so last but definitely not least, we have the clay pad. As I said already, guys, this is very, very new to the market, and there's very little videos about it online, but it works off a very, very similar process to the clay cloth. But unfortunately, you need a polisher to go with it. I'm using the Oracle Pro 15 today for this test. So basically, first things first, what you do, same as what you do with polishing, you got to prime the pad. So glue up the pad, same as what you do in the other two methods. Squirt up the square you're planning on working on. And all you do, guys, is set polisher speed 1. Just like with the cloth, it's very important to make sure there's plenty of lubricants on the surface, because, guys, when this pad is spinning, because it's on a DA, it's dissipating the water. So unfortunately, it's actually dissipating your clay look. So you got to make sure you keep that surface well lubricated. As you can see, this method has sped up claying for us like tenfold. As you can see, each method is quicker than the other. It's a fantastic upgrade or next step up from someone that has used a clay cloth before and wants something basically a bit quicker, wants something because he's doing high volume cars. This is the perfect next step, right? And then all you really do is buff off the surface, same as before. Right, so I'm going to bring you in close to me here. Here is the side we have done. As you can hear, there is nothing. All the contaminants have been removed from the surface. And you'll even notice, guys, I'm not sure if the camera's picking up, there is the gloss level of the panel has been raised. The panel is definitely glossier because those contaminants have been removed. So next I'm going to go to the other side of the bonnet, the bit we haven't done yet, and show you the difference. So that is the clayed side. Versus the non-clayed side. Right, so there you have it, a quick how-to on claying. We've even shown you the 3 different options available on the market today. If you've liked this video, guys, we'd much appreciate it if you hit that like button, share it to your friends who you think might be interested in it too, and subscribe to stay up to date with what's going on. If you haven't liked this video, you probably wash your car with a brush or a sponge, so it's irrelevant anyway. Guys, we'll see you next time. Stay tuned for some behind the scenes in our vlog and some more how-to videos on the products in our store.